Yeah, that's it. But I honestly think balance. I think balance is actually really good at the moment. There's just a few civs which are slightly like are a bit too good. Everyone's got their opinions. All right, all right. Let's kick this off and start with the elephant in the room is USA. All right, we can't have A plus, so we'll just have USA. USA are the best civ in the game at the moment. The reason they're the best civ in the game at the moment is because they have a couple of build orders. I wouldn't say the civ overall is the best, but if you go by a couple of the S tier build orders, then yes, they're S tier, which might not make much sense, but as a USA main, I kind of know what I'm talking about. They do obviously still have a standard, very strong fast fortress. It's weak on eco though, but with like the Boston Tea Party boom, the 2 coalfields, that card that gives skirms per shipment, like they have not only the best fast fortress in the game, but the best eco fast fortress. Is it beatable? Yes. Are they beatable? Yes, they are still 100% beatable. They also have that crazy mill strat at the moment, which is a very good H2, and that's an alternative of not going fast fortresses, having really good eco in H2. So yeah, USA are really good. Sharpshooters are really good. The best unit in the game, one of the best units in the game at the moment, is Carbine Cavalry. They have extra range. They're cheaper than normal goons. Like, they're just so good, and they've been so bad for such a long time, for like the entirety of DE. But then they got buffed, and they've been buffed too hard. So I hope that they get nerfed at some point. So yeah, USA are beatable, but they are the best civ in the game at the moment. Let's go probably... I don't know if Hauser are going to be the second best civ in the game, but they're definitely in S tier as well. Less so than USA. So this tier list will be horizontal as well. So it will be in order as best as I can. So Hauser will be sitting in the top 3, top 4 best civs at the moment. The Songhai age up is insane. You get, for 500 influence, you get 5 instant raiders. And then you can build 5 and you can have 10 raiders before 5 minutes 30. They have like the best crossbow in the game. They act more like a skirmisher than a crossbow, which is the Fulani. Insane fire animation. You can increase their range. They can get this in H2. They can make Javelin Riders in H2, so they can have Skirm Goon in H2, along with Raiders, which are insane for containing your opponents. And they're just so good. I think most people will agree that they are so good. Again, are they beatable? Very, very beatable, definitely. But are they overperforming? Yes. And I believe they're overperforming in every ELO bracket as well. So yeah, they are a bit good at the moment. Moving on, let's do one of the worst civs. Let's do Japan. So I think most civs in the game are in the A tier. I think most civs are balanced. Honestly, I think the balance patch that we have at the moment is one of the best we've ever had, if not the best. Yes, there's a couple of civilizations which are slightly too good. But these civilizations at the moment, like the S tier civilizations at the moment, other than the Italy fort spam, which is obviously not supposed to be in the game, like there isn't anything too abusable at the moment. So where does Japan sit? I honestly don't think we need, like, we could do this at the moment. So for the moment, I'm going to leave them in B tier. I honestly don't think Japan are that bad. They are exploitable. They do have weaknesses. But they can still be competitive. Like the other day, I saw Japan beat, I can't remember who it was. It was like Julian or someone. Yes, you can argue that he didn't play it right or whatnot. Was it Robot? I can't remember. It was one of the top 10 players, and I saw someone win with Japan. You can't say they're that terrible if they don't, because they never win a game, when actually they do win games even in high tiers. So yeah, they are one of the worst civs in the game, but they are still pretty decent. So at the moment, B tier is going to be the bottom, because I don't think there is such a thing as C tier. There's no way that there's a C tier, in my opinion. But maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll have more discussion to see. Portugal's an interesting one. I think Portugal is definitely A tier at the moment. They're being played... Portugal seems to be being played all the time at the moment. I see so many people playing Portugal at a high level at the moment. the 10-10 where you just make a TP, you make no houses in age 1 and you just age it with 10 villagers and you age it with 500 food and then you ship 700 gold. You then get free organ guns. You can even send your TCs really far forward and you can have free organ guns in someone's base at like before 7 minutes. It's really difficult to deal with sometimes, and organ guns are insane at the moment. Organ guns have target lock, which means as soon as if they get the target fire and animation going, but something walks out of its range, it will continue to fire regardless, which is just insane. And having 3 of them, like, they absolutely destroy military units more so than falconets. So that shipment alone is why they're near the top of A. Portugal, obviously, they have Fatorius, which is a pretty good card. The 10-10 with a TP is pretty damn good build. They obviously can turtle really well. They're just a really solid civ. So I think they're near the top of A tier at the moment. I don't think anyone will contest that. Mexico, I think they got nerfed quite hard last patch, but I think they're a solid A tier still. But they got a couple of unnecessary nerfs, like the 3 outposts and stuff like that. I mean, the Culverin was probably necessary. The 2 Culverins in the Revolt was probably necessary. I do think people seem to forget that the Revolt does cost like 900 resources, or like more than that, over 1,000 resources to Revolt. But it's still a cheaper alternative than aging up conventionally, and it's instant, and you get villagers from the CA Revolt. So I think they're still a solid A tier. They still got a decent rush. The Pike, the Insurgents got nerfed as well. Their Siege got nerfed, which is rightly so. So at last patch, they were probably at the very top of A, but now I think they're probably somewhere in the middle of A. So decent civ, but not quite as good as they were last patch. This is an interesting one. Why do you think Mexico is A, Lionheart? What do you think they're higher or lower? Like, Mexico have so many tools to deal with so many different things. Their Revolt is still really good. You are still the NR1 topic. I couldn't be. I don't think Mexico is in S tier, and I don't think I could be convinced that they're worse than that. You think Mexico is one of the worst civs? No, I mean, obviously everyone's entitled to their opinion, but Mexico is one of the worst. But they went. I don't know if that's true. They went from being one of the best civs last patch to now people saying they're one of the worst. No way. There's no way that they're on the same level as Japan. There's no way that there's in B tier. If we want to argue that they're near the bottom of A, that's fine. But nah, they're nah. They got a forward hacienda. They can still pike rush. They get 2 Culverins in CA Revolt. They're still really good in my opinion. So where do we want to put Germany? That's an interesting one. Are Germany the top of A, or are they the bottom of S? Germany are very good civ. They've been a really good civ for a long time. Their shipment curve is good, and they have like the best shipments in the game, which give the best tempo. This is going to be a difficult one. Top A, top A, top A, top A. Because I don't think I could argue that they're as good as Hauser. But they are definitely better than Ports. Lots of people saying top A. If that's the consensus, then I'd have to put them in top A. But they are... like this again, this is why I would like to have A+. I honestly think this the tier list at the moment should be S, A+, A, A-, and B. That's it. Because I do feel like there's a distinction in the A tiers, but they are all A tiers, if that makes sense. So, Germany, yeah, just insane. 9 Ulons, 8 Ulons, 8 skirms with 3 Ulons. You know, they are an insane civilization. Their tempo is insane. Settler wagons, you know, they got the best shipments in the game. What else about them? They're just, you know, cav semi. They can do it. They can do anything. The only weakness they have is they don't have musketeer units, but. You know, who needs that when you get war wagons, right? So yeah, Germany, insane civ. Insane team game civ as well. This is an interesting one. So Malta. Where do we think Malta are? Sometimes I watch and I see some people play Malta and I think they're like an A tier civ. And then other times I see them and I think, oh, maybe they're a B tier civ. They do have a good rush. They do have a really good boom. The biggest problem with Malta is they have huge weaknesses. They have very glaring weaknesses. They have a lot of great strengths, but they have a lot of glaring weaknesses. In the late game, they have the best crossbow in the game, which probably alone warrants them being an A. But if they are an A, they're definitely a low A tier civ. Yeah, I think they have depots and things like that, and I still don't see Malta mains utilize like the fixed guns and the depots enough. I still don't see that. I still don't see it enough. And there's just not that many top level players that play Malta. We did see Kaiser Klein on a Smurf like a little while ago, like literally get like top 3 with Malta. So are they really that bad? You know, I don't think so. So maybe I think I'm going to leave them at low A. I love the drama that a tier list gives. Okay. Let's go for Ethiopia. Ethiopia were up here last patch. They had their coyote runners. I can't remember what you call them. They were just insane. Their bonuses were against all infantry. That was one of the main reasons why they were so OP. They had good eco. Their Issa warriors were just insane. Like really good speed. Like a musketeer on steroids. And they really were an S tier civ. But that all got nerfed. And they got nerfed quite hard. But rightly so. But they're still a decent civ, I think. They still have Neftenias are still really good. Their skirmishers are really good. They still have I like doing a fast fortress with them, and I think they have a really good fast fortress against certain civs. You know, they have the Sebastopol mortar, which in certain matchups is really, really good, but it's also really, really bad in other matchups. Decent eco. You know, you've got Abans, which can give you like a really, really insane early game spike, especially if you're getting influence. So they get influence better than Hauser early game at least. So I think they are probably mid A tier. I would probably put them around mid A tier. Yeah, that's all there is to say about it. I think they, a lot of their cards got nerfed as well, like the Issa Warriors. They still have the Abbas gun type unit, but that also got nerfed, but not a lot. So I think that's a fair place to put them mid A. Let's go for Spain. Oh, yes. I'm going to put Spain here. Straight off the bat. Spain have always been that one civ which, I don't know, like, it's dodged. It never really gets buffed or nerfed. I mean, it got reworked, which gave it a couple of buffs, but all that did was give it a couple of alternative strategies. Their fast fortress has always been in the game. It will always be in the game, I imagine. And they've always hovered around between this S and A tier. They're such a good quick search civs because they don't really get hard countered by anything. You can argue they do get countered, but not by a lot. But yeah, I think they're at the top of A. I think that's where they've always been. Their fast fortress is really good. And the thing about Spain is the advantage you have when you're playing Spain is your opponent has to play you. You don't play them. Your opponent plays you. You just have to decide if you want to make rods or musketeers. You know, that's it. And when to ship your 2 falconets. Whilst your opponent always has to adapt to you. You always have to adapt to the Spanish player because the fast fortress is so dominant and difficult to deal with. So yeah, so I like Spain. They're my favorite civ at the moment. I'm doing really well with them. I'm going to try to get to 2k elo, 2000 elo with them. I'm currently about rank 40th, something like that. And that's purely basically at the moment with Spain. So I think I can do it. Sweden's an interesting one. Sweden is an interesting one. A lot of people like to say Sweden are trash now, but it's just not the case. Yes, they got nerfed even more so than they did the patch. So last patch they got nerfed even more than the previous patch to it. The problem with Sweden is the same that they've always had. Okay, Sweden do well versus some matchups. They do bad versus other matchups. That's the way it's always been, and I don't think the last nerf has changed anything other than it being a little bit slower. I don't think Sweden are B tier. I think they're A tier. I still think they're A tier. I still think they're a decent civ. You still can't let Sweden boom. Again, similar to Sweden, similar to Spain, you kind of have to play the Swedish matchup differently in some matchups. Like you have to play you have to keep an eye on the torps. You have to do some pressure and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think Sweden are still A tier, but they're probably on the bottom end of A tier. Japan C tier. Well, we've got to remember this is a whole separate tier below. So, I still think I still think all the civs are competitive in this game. You can win as any civilization. People really want to put Japan 2 tiers lower. That's so bullshit, honestly. Like I said when we came over to Japan can still win even in the top 10, and I've seen it. So let's go for Japan are getting pretty lonely. So let's go with Russia. The weird thing about Russia is whenever I watch Russia players, like in top level play, I still see them do well. I still see Russia do well. That's why, but people say Russia are like one of the worst civs in the game, and I still think they are, but I still see people do well with them, which is interesting. But undeniably, I think they are quite low tier. But yeah, I think it's fair to put Russia in front of Japan, but I think it's probably still fair to put them in B tier. You could probably argue that they're at the very bottom of A, but yeah, we'll probably leave them in there. We'll give Japan some comfort. Again, both these civs can win, and I see them often win in the ladder. But yeah, Russia do well versus the other shit civs in the game, but that's about it. Yeah, like I think Russia does well versus Sweden. I think Russia does well versus Malta. I think Russia does well versus, even like Mexico. But it does lose to like this civ, this civ, this civ, this civ. This, I don't know about the Portuguese matchup actually, but that's interesting. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Dutch. I gave up playing Dutch a long time ago. I gave up maining Dutch a long time ago because the DE power creep just got to Dutch too hard. Like at the beginning of DE, Dutch were considered one of the best civs in the game. But I feel like DE creep just kind of ruined Dutch a little bit. I just don't think they're that strong. But a lot of top players will say Dutch is still quite good. But some of those Dutch players won't even have Bosniaks in their deck. So even with Bosniaks, like even with the new changes like the South Africa revolt, that doesn't impact their tier list because it's a team game thing. Dutch in team games would be up here, but in 1v1, I actually think Dutch are probably in B tier. I honestly think Dutch are probably B tier. They lose. They historically had a couple of close matchups like the France matchup, the Germany matchup. They were always close, but they get out-skirmed by those civs now. They get out-tempered by those civs. So I honestly think Dutch are, B tier. Unless someone can convince me that they should be A tier, I don't really see it. But Dutch can do well versus these low A tier civs. So it is debatable. But we'll probably put Dutch in B tier. Let's go for China. The China players have fallen off the planet Earth. Like, I don't know what happened, but they really fell off a cliff. Like, however many patches ago, we've been seeing China forever. Like, China have been good forever. And they kept getting nerfed. They keep getting nerfed because their fast fortress was too good. But it feels like this time that probably their fast fortress has actually been nerfed enough where it stops people playing them. And I don't know. It's difficult to rank China because I haven't played them that much. But I don't see anyone playing China. I do not see anyone playing China. I don't think they're that bad. China have always been quite good. But I do think that the latest nerf did hurt them enough. the biggest thing that was going for them was that the healing wonder, which healed all of their units. I can't remember what it's called, but it healed all of it like crazily, and that got nerfed very significantly. And since that stopped, they've gone back to their usual wonder builds with the French consulate. But yeah, I don't know. They Transcendence, that's it. I think mid A is where they are. Again, I just haven't seen enough China really to really get a good understanding. But I played them a little bit since the last patch that they got nerfed, and I think they're okay. But they're also you can exploit China's weaknesses. Let's leave it at that. France, interesting, and probably another mid tier. Another mid A tier. I like the civs. I play France quite a bit, but only as a troll, really. As I do their native rush, and I do the revolts with them. I love the revolts with them, by the way. The Canada revolt and the French revolt are just like some of the best revolts in the game. They're so fun to play. But I don't really see many people do that strategy. But I think France are probably here, maybe here. I think they're probably better than China, but only just. So I think I'm going to keep them, I guess, mid A tier. They are better than these civs. They are definitely better than these civs. They don't really have huge weaknesses. They have insane early eco as well. And I think in the right hands, they are insane because they're such an adaptable, flexible civ. And they have a good fast industrial. They have a good fast fortress. They have a good semi-fast fortress. They have good H2 rushes. They have very good native rushes. They do everything very well. So, Squiggle, you're right. I said that it needs an A+ and an A-, but unfortunately, I don't think you can do this on the Free Food Parties tier list. You could almost treat this as S tier being A+ and B tier being A-, honestly. Okay, cool. Let's go for another S tier civ. Italy at the moment, it's difficult to rank Italy because Italy have that the thing where you can build forts, where you can keep building lots of forts, which is obviously broken and obviously not intended. So with that in the game, they're obviously S tier, right? They're obviously like probably the best civ in the game with that. In my opinion, you can still get too many architects. You can still get too many by one. I think you should only be able to have one architect per age. So in age 1, you can have 1. In age 2, you can have 2. In age 3, you can have 3. At the moment, you can have 1 extra than that. But without the fort stuff, I think they're still S tier, but I don't think they're as good as these civs. Honestly, once the fort stuff goes, I think they're going to be more of a fortress civilization. I played them a little bit, and honestly, I feel like they're more of a fortress civ than they are an industrial civ. Yeah, but they can be contained. Italy obviously like to do their kind of turtle play with free buildings and stuff, but they are beatable. They are very beatable. Even the fort nonsense stuff we've seen has been beat, right? So even with that, it's been beat. So I think Italy are probably around here. You could argue that they're there with the fort stuff, but I think without it, they're probably around here. There's a couple of these civs I'm looking at, which is going to be really difficult to approach. We'll go for another. No, let's go for Lakota. I think, again, Lakota is a weird one because you don't see enough Lakota in the game. I think the only Lakota really I've seen is Ungers. I've only seen Ungers play this civ. I know Keister used to really like this civilization, but it's like they can't balance Lakota very well. Because Lakota are very easily buffed to the point where they're the best civ in the game, but they're then also nerfed to the point where they're the worst civ in the game. So Lakota are, around here, I think. They're kind of back in the early days of D, they very much were a cav heavy civ. Now they're more of an infantry civ. But yeah, I just every time I see them, I'm not overly impressed by them. So I think they sit somewhere in B tier, like here. Is it worse than Japan? I don't know. It's debatable, but I think that's probably a fair place to put them. What's up, Lucas? Yeah, I don't think people are going to argue that they're in B tier. Like, there's no way they're A tier, right? I can't see them being a good A tier Civ. Um, but yeah, I think that's fair. Um, let's go for India. Now, India, I would have ranked around here last patch, but the biggest nerf that they got was to the shipment curve. And again, like similar to China, I feel like India players have fallen off a cliff recently, and India players don't like playing India at the moment. All the feedback I've seen about India is India players saying India are trash. And it's obviously not the case because India are still a good civ. They still have really good wanders. You know, they still have really good units. They can make all types of units in H2. But the shipment curve clearly did hurt them, and it clearly hurt that sweet spot where they can get into Fortress Age, get the siege elephants out to deal with the two falconets. So I feel like that's been taken off the table a little bit now. Or they have to find alternatives to get that shipment curve up. So I feel like they're probably at the bottom of A now. I think they're probably better than these civs still. They still have a good matchup. They still destroy Sweden. Honestly, they still fucking destroy Sweden. Probably better than Mexico, but they're not at the top of A or bottom of S like they used to. India players hate to play India now because they made Sepoy lose to Cav. Well, they had what are the guys what are their pikeman units? I can't remember what their pikemen is. Is it Rajputs? Rajputs also got nerfed, but Rajputs were way too good, right? Last patch. So I think India is probably around there somewhere. Still a good civ, but their shipment curve got nerfed. What did I say about Sweden? I'll put this on YouTube, so you know if you want to watch it back, Mystic, you can. But I think Sweden are still okay. But you know, I still, yeah, they're still okay. They still do well against certain civs, but they still do bad versus the civs that they have bad matchups against. They've always been like that, but their eco has dictated where they are in the game, and at the moment it's a bit slower than it used to be. But honestly, I think Sweden are probably better than Malta. Honestly, probably there. They're probably around there, I would say. Otto, I think, is fair to say it's at the moment Abasgun. Like the reason that the reason I'm going to put them in S tier is we all know is Abasguns are just overperforming at the moment. Abasguns are just insane. Yes, they're 2-pop. Yes, they're a bit more expensive. But that whenever you get a unit like that, which batch trains the same as other 1-pop units, that means it's good. That means it's essentially a 2-pop unit that batches the same time as another 5 skirmishers, which is what their equivalent is. And 5 Abasguns wrecks 5 skirmishers. So I think it's fair to say Otto, like in team games as well. If you're Otto in team games, just make Abasguns. Just make Abasguns. They are unbelievable. They're probably even better in team games than they are in 1v1. Are Ottos beatable? Very. Are Ottos beatable? Yes, most definitely. But they are just... The Abasgun stuff is just too good. Obviously, you've got Cavalry Archer, Abasgun, or Janissary Abasgun. But Cavalry Archers are better than Janissaries for a lot of reasons. But they tank just so much better. Yeah, it's like their best strategy in the game is the semi-deli. So the 5 semi-deli, and then you transition into Cav Archer, Abasguns. It's their best strategy, honestly, and it's so good. It's so good. When you reach that critical mass point of Abasgun, Cavalry Archer, where there's nothing you can do about it. There is absolutely nothing you can do about it. And yeah, it's just so good. It's just so good. I think once Abasguns get nerfed, if Abasguns get nerfed, then I think Ottoman will be in back in A tier. That's all they need is an Abasgun nerf, I think. I don't want to nerf them into the ground, but You know, they got buffed, didn't they? The Abascuns got buffed like over a year ago now, I think, where their rate of fire got buffed, and that is what's making them OPs. They fire at the same rate as like a skirmisher. That's why they're too good at the moment. Okay. They still have that TC spam stuff as well, which I just remembered. You know, they can still do that. They still have a good industrial. They're not the best S tier civ in the game, definitely not. But they are. I think they still warrant being an S tier. I mean, you can argue the Germany at Otto is very close. Like that's very close. Like the top of A and the bottom of S is very, very close there. You could even argue that Germany might be better than Otto, but let's go Aztec. I need your help on this one, guys. I really need your help on this one. So like Aztec is sometimes I play against Aztec players and I think they're S tier. And sometimes I play other Aztecs and I think they're very beatable. I could very much put Aztec there, but I could also put them in A tier. Like people are gonna flame me for saying that, but think about who plays Aztec. Recently, you're seeing Kinesi just play Aztec. I love Kinesi, right? I love Kinesi, but him playing a civilization means there's something strong about what he's doing, right? They're insane on water maps. They can do dock starts on water maps. They have the best community plaza against all the other civs that have community plazas. They're unbelievably defensive play. Don't forget, guys, that at the moment as well, the Jaguar Prow Knights are too good. Jaguar Prow Knights are really fucking good at the moment. They get promotions and they get really good stealth. Jaguar Prow Knights are insane at the moment. And I think people forget that Jaguar Prow Knights still haven't been nerfed yet. You saw at the beginning of the last patch, people were spamming Aztec and just winning with just Jaguar Prow Knights. Yeah, Jaguar Prow Knights beat any unit other than skirmisher, and even then in melee with a good enough stealth pounce, they're good. The community plaza you can spam Minutemen from, so it's very difficult to attack Aztec's base because of the community plaza. So Aztec is a very good civ. And if you're using the gimmicky stuff, their gimmicky stuff is their best stuff, honestly. It's almost to the point where it's not gimmick anymore. They also have a very good conventional Age 2 rush. Where you play very standard. So, and you can contain. They have a very good rush, you know, against civilizations that like to settle. So I think it's very fair to say that they are in S tier. I would have to be convinced pretty hard that they're not S tier. If Jaguar Prow Knights get nerfed, then maybe they're back in A tier again. But at the moment, because of Jaguar Prow Knights getting buffed, getting promotions, Jaguar Prow Knights get promotions. And they have a very good stealth now. They move quickly in stealth. I don't know how quickly they move in stealth. I think that got buffed as well. But yeah, they are very, very good. Yeah, they have the fort as well, but the fort's kind of shit. The fort is kind of sucky. The funniest thing about the fort, the coolest thing about the fort that they get is that the fort can make units, and one of the units that it can make is the warrior priests, which I think is the first time ever that's been a thing. So warrior priests cost 200 coin, and you can make warrior priests. So you can get warrior priests that way rather than have to dance for it in the community plaza. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. The fort hazard is it looks like the Mayan forts. So that's another cool thing. It's not as strong as a European fort, but it does shadow tech. But it's never quite as strong as a European fort. But you know, they get it as an age 3 card now. Yeah, it's not a great card, I have to say, because it's weaker. It's weaker than a European fort. But anyways, it looks cooler. Okay, it looks cooler. So that's something. Saw the fort in real life. I did, Enifra. I did. You're right, and I've got a picture of that. The Chichen Itza fort, which I might show on stream after this. Okay, moving on. Inca is another interesting one. We've got Gimmick in chat, who I know mains this civilization, and Gimmick is a very good player.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, this is a weird one. Yo, big Honga coming
Malta just
in.
subscribed. Congrats on the wedding, my brother in Christ.
Yo, thank you so much, Honga. You absolute legend. Where have you been, Honga? Buddy, you're back. I'm back. Let's go. So Inca got buffed. Inca got buffed, right? So Inca's what do you call them? Hurricanes are fucking, and apologies for my French, but I have to swear they are fucking insane. Hurricanes are fucking insane. They are falconet murderers now. They murder artillery like it's unbelievable. Their range, I believe, got increased as well. They destroy buildings at range. They're like Arrow Knights, but I think it's fair to say they're better than Arrow Knights. It's actually debatable because Arrow Knights are really good, but Hurricanes, I think, arguably are better. They're better at microing, I think, as well. They also have Chimu runners, which are just insane. And the main reason Chimu runners are good against artillery as well. The main reason Chimu runners are insane is because they're essentially a cavalry unit, but they have better pathing than cavalry. Just because they have their hitboxes are so small, they can run in between units unbelievably. Like, it's insane the amount of times I've lost games just by Chimu runners managing to run in front, like 10 Chimu runners running behind 50 musketeers and somehow still finding the falconets. So I think it's fair to say that Inca are S tier. The only question is, how S tier are they? I think they're probably they're better than Aztecs. They don't forget they have such insane eco as well. They have an age up which gives them all the wood upgrades from the market, and their camchers provide an insane amount of food once you've got Chicha Brewing in. So they have really good units, some of the best units in the game, but they also have a really strong eco. And I just discovered that the other day that they have a card in Age 3, I believe, where they can turn the food gathering from canchers into wood, and it gives the exact same rate of gathering for the wood. It's like 0.92 that it does the food. Someone tell me how that's not insane. 0.9 trickle for one cancher at wood is fucking insane. So yeah. You could argue that Inca are here. Yeah, this card is shit for 1v1. I don't even have it. I agree that it's not really a meta-changing card, but it's just interesting. It's a very good late-game card, I think. Like when tree lines start running out and stuff like that. If someone wants to argue that Inca are higher than if someone wants to argue that they're better than Otto or Hauser, make your argument, because I could be convinced. But at the moment, I think they're around there. I think they're definitely better than these civs. Like, look at these civs, right? Inca are better than these civs. Undeniably. Right. Because I'm a 100% troll, I'm going to leave Brits for last. But we'll go for Haudenosaunee. Haudenosaunee is an interesting one. Again, don't see too much Haudenosaunee. Inca better than Otto. Argument name is all right. Gimmick's not biased because he actually mains that civ. So I don't think this civ, Haudenosaunee, are anywhere here. I don't think they're anywhere here. I think they're somewhere here. Would I like to put them next to France? Yes, I think so. They're good on water maps, very good on water maps. They can obviously dock start as well. They have forest prowlers, are insane skirmishers. They have insane goons, which have bonuses versus artillery. So they're an all-round very good civilization. The reason why they're in A is because they have weaknesses, like they don't have artillery in Age 3, so they can get laned out by falconets in Age 3. Age 4, they do have field cannons, which are like the best artillery in the game, but obviously that's Age 4. They don't have resource generating buildings, so you can house them, you can kill villagers, and that is how you hurt their eco. They have tomahawks, which are okay. They have the crossbows got nerfed again, and they're not a great unit. So they do have Kanye Wests, which are insane. You can do some good rushes with them. You can do some good fortress play. You can do even good. They do have a good fast industrial as well. I think they're around here. I think they're as good as France, Spain, Ports, Germany. I think that's where they sit. I think that's fair. I think most people would agree with me there. Not too much else to say other than that. Dun, dun, dun! We come on to the Brits. We've come on to the Brits. Now, this is difficult because at the beginning, when they got their free vills back, I thought, oh, here we fucking go again. They're going to be back to S tier again. But they're obviously, I don't think they are. But people might underestimate Brits. People might underestimate Brits. I think they're better than mid-A, but I think they're not as good as Germany. Are they as good as Spain? They kind of counter Spain, but not overly hard. Are they better than France? The thing is, when Brits had free vills, like a few patches ago, they were arguably the best civ in the game, and people forget this, right? Then they lost their free vills, right? And then arguably, yes, they were very low A tier, or just low A tier. So and then the only difference when they got their free vills back, the only difference was that manors cost 5 extra wood. So why would they not then still be near the top? Yes, they don't have 5 vills anymore, but they still have 4 vills. That's 1 vill difference in age 2 when you send it. At which point is like, what, 7 minutes? They still have 700 wood, 600 wood, 4 vills. So I think they're mid to high A. I think that's a fair assessment. Brit with 440 manners, minus 5 vil, and less XP from manners when VCing. They still have like the cool as well is minus 100 food was gone a long time ago. That even that was gone even after people were still saying that they were S tier at that time. So yeah, I think that's a fair place to put them. You could argue they're probably here. If I want to make that argument, I'll be fine to put Brits there. But I honestly think Brits are more like there. Maybe even there. Brits, when I see Brits played at a very high level, now that we've got... The thing about Brits as well is that they can very easily utilize pillarless walls, which seems to be the meta in the highest level of play at the moment. And that's a really good way of defending their eco. So that's another reason why they're so good at the moment. So I think overall, that looks like a pretty good tier list to me. I think every civ in the game at the moment is competitive. So disclaimer, every civ can win. But personally, I think balance is one of the best we've ever had. Like, looking at this as a USA main, USA can lose to Japan very easily. And I think I actually saw that the other day. I think it might have been Julian was playing USA, and I think I saw him lose to Wasabi's Japan. You know, I've seen Unga's Lakota beat all these top civs. So, you know, like I said, disclaimer, yes, this is a tier list, but every civ I think is competitive, and I think balance is very good. Also, another disclaimer, I feel like this should probably be A+, and A-. And then B tiers should be here. Like, I almost don't think that these civs need to be a separate tier below, outside of A-. But they are noticeably weaker. They are noticeably weaker, so that's fair. But even so, I see top 10 players doing well with both Dutch and Russia, so... yo, what's up, Kevin? How you doing? I know you don't like Brits. What's up, Grey Fox? How you doing? OG Grey Fox there. Big Talanis in chat. How you doing, Talanis? Talanis lurking in there. How long have you been lurking, Talanis? You've been waiting till the end of this, haven't you? You've been waiting till the end to say something here. Imagine pretending C tier empty. Well, that's why balance I think is so good at the moment, because